All right, Trainer Joe, I'm actually really excited for this video. If you wanted to lose 50 pounds very quickly,
Yes.
tell us how you would do it.
How
Break
would I
it
do
down.
it?
Break it
I
down.
love this too because it's just like here's what you can do. A lot of people are like unsure. They're at that point. They're like, dang, how did I get here? 50 pounds. When I started my new program, we do one every month. On Monday, I asked my group, which we have over 100 people in it, and I said, one of the things that makes weight loss hard is that it's subtle. You get to that 50-pound place slowly. But what if it happened overnight? So I asked my group, I said, what if you gained the amount you've gained since high school? What if you gained it overnight and you woke up with that amount? And I was curious, how much have y'all gained? So I asked them, I said, I don't want to embarrass anybody because we have the message over on the side where we can talk to each other while I'm live on video. I said, I don't want to embarrass you, but how much have you gained since high school? I said, if you don't mind sharing, don't feel pressured, but please share. And everybody, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, people are open.
Do you know what was amazing? Do you know what shocked me?
What? I don't.
How many of them were over 100 pounds?
Oh, wow, 100.
Like, are you kidding? I thought it was going to be 8, 12, 15, 100. 25, and some 50s. But it was 120, 130, 180, and then there were some 30, 50s.
Wow.
But so many were over 100. Like, what the heck is going on here? So 50, I'm like, maybe we should say 100, but we got a lot of people out there that would love that are 50 and are like, heck yeah.
Well, these principles will also work for more for the most part.
Yes, just double it.
Just double it. But let's go 50.
Double the time.
Let's go 50, and please get as practical and specific
Here we go.
as you can.
Practical, specific. So first thing I would do is break it down. So let's break it down so here's what I would consider fast, 3 months. We do our video, how to lose 100 pounds in 6 months.
Which is linked below.
So break it down to half that, 3 months is still very fast.
Some people are going to hear that and be like, 50 pounds in 3 months?
50 pounds in 3 months.
That's realistic.
So immediately you think, okay, that's 15 pounds a month would be 45 pounds. So it's more than 15 pounds a month.
16 and a half pounds a month.
Yeah, I would, so make it 17 pounds a month.
Okay.
Which is right at 4 pounds a week. Just under 4 pounds a week. So it's 3.85 pounds. I did the math earlier. So let's just give yourself a little bit of protection there to get it done. And that's, you need to be serious. You don't need, about this much and about this time. No, you need to really lock it in, get specific. So we're going to say, to make sure I hit it, it's 4 pounds a week, which is about double what most experts would say you should lose on a diet. So we're not really thinking diet here, which is also important. Okay. What we need to think of is, because a lot of people will say, well, that's unreasonable, that's too fast. And it's like, you know what's unreasonable? That you're 50 pounds overweight. Mm-hmm. You've got to switch the script from, well, that would be awful hard. No, what's crazy is you are 50 pounds overweight. The crazy thing would be to not lose 50 pounds in 3 months.
You have 50 pounds of excess on your body right now. Excess. Bring out the fat blob.
Bring out the fat blob. This is 5 pounds.
Overweight. Excess weight than you need. That should be seen as more crazy than that you're losing fast.
I'm challenging your math. How many of these is it for 50 pounds?
That's a 5 pound fat blob.
Yes, come on. Come on. You can do it, brother. You can do it.
10.
You got it. It's my boy.
10 of these.
That's my boy. 10 of these.
10 of these.
You're walking around 10 of these, and your question is, well, 3 months is awful fast. Hey, let's focus. This is crazy that you have 10 of these, and you're trying to play pickleball. I got my friends out there, and I love them, and I know some of them watch this and be like,
how dare you?
How dare you? No, I want you to thrive and love it and survive, and your knees to live and your heart not to burst.
Okay, buddy. Good. That's good. I like the passion. So you're saying that right out of the gate, break it down so that there's not just this.
And look at it.
Right. And I love that.
Realistically, this is crazy that we have it to lose. So let's not be so alarmed when we do it in 3 months or when we go over this.
3 months, 17 pounds per month, which comes to how many each week? 4 pounds a week. Okay. So let's just go ahead and establish that. If you're wanting to lose 50 pounds like Trainer Joe would lose 50 pounds, this is how he begins his journey.
Great. It's like the light went on, right? I'm 50 pounds overweight. The light went on. I'm like, okay, enough of this. This is ridiculous, right? And a lot of people get to that point. They're like, this is ridiculous. They see a picture, they try on some clothes. I got nothing. The doctor said I'm pre-diabetic, or now I'm diabetic. They might want to put me on insulin, or my knees are killing me, and I wonder, why do my knees hurt?
Enough of this.
Enough.
Great.
So here we go.
Great start.
And if we look at a day, that's more than a half pound a day. So you're going to have to lose this half pound burger of meat. Imagine a quarter pounder. You've got 2 of those and a little bit more than that. You know, it's a lot, and it has to come off every day. So some people get excited, and they've lost weight before, and like, yeah, this isn't going to be too tough. You got to lock it in. Okay, so you're going to lock it in for 3 months.
So tell us how you would do it then. How
Right.
you would lose that.
You need a plan. You need a commitment. You need this moment of reflection, which we've already talked about. And start with this. Start with this idea that I could do this by not eating, right? And some people fast and they lose 50 pounds in half that time because they don't eat. So we're not going to suggest that you do that. But it helps to say, I could start with, I'm just going to not eat until I lose 50 pounds. People do that. And it happens, and they don't die, and they're healthier in the end, but it is very extreme.
It's very extreme.
Very extreme. Most of us know somebody that's done it.
But
though.
you're saying, at least establish that in your mind.
Establish that in your mind, that I could just not eat, just drink water and take some supplements, vitamins or whatever, and lose 50 pounds in 6 weeks or whatever.
Okay.
So we're not going to do that. We're going to eat. But now we decide, rather than what are you going to get rid of out of your normal diet, we'll start with nothing. We'll say, what are you going to bring in?
I like that. I like that approach.
Yeah, it's
that
very
mindset.
helpful.
Start
what do
with
I get
nothing.
Start with nothing.
Because so many diets is, what am I cutting out? I'm going to cut out bread, and I'm going to cut out dairy.
We're cutting out everything.
We're cutting out everything, and here's what you are now allowed to bring
Right.
in. That's a good mind.
It is. It's huge. It's
mind
huge.
approach.
You're right. So here's what we're going to bring in. So let's look at, basically, we're going to look at 3 meals a day. And some of you, they're already, well, I only eat 1 meal a day. I don't care. That's fine. Or I eat 2 meals a day. That's fine. But you could eat 3 meals a day and do this. And if you want to cut it down to 2, that's okay.
Wow. Okay.
Breakfast, let's look at breakfast at being 2 eggs and a piece of fruit. Okay, it could be an apple, half a banana,
A serving of
or an orange.
watermelon,
Yeah,
or
a serving of
cantaloupe.
fruit. Berries would be great. Right, so 2 eggs and some berries. That could be breakfast. Or if you're like, well, I don't really like eggs. Okay, you could do a bowl of oatmeal, which is a serving. I would do there's something called Better Oats, still cut with flax. It's a packet. I would do that one just to simplify it. You mix it with water, and if you want to put a little, just a little bit of skim milk in it, that's fine, and some berries in that. That's great. And with that, you could have
So option 2.
with that. This is option 2. With that, you can have a 000 yogurt. A yogurt that doesn't have any added sugar or fat.
To be honest, so far, if you're talking breakfast, like that's pretty. I'm hearing that, and I'm like, ooh, that's more than I would have thought I could eat to lose 50 pounds.
Right. But that's it. So what are you not having that you normally have? A piece of toast, anything. You're not having a glass of juice.
Right.
You're not having a chip. You're not having, what do people have for breakfast? A piece of bacon. You're not having,
pancakes,
well, what's wrong with bacon?
bagels.
So if you're sitting here already saying, well, what's wrong with this or that? You're
missing
probably
it.
missing it. You're missing the point here. Okay. No wonder you're 50 pounds overweight. Come on. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. But you got it. You've got to change this mindset. Why can't I have this? Why can't I have that? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that?
That makes
You're
sense.
not locked in if you're asking those questions.
So a pretty solid breakfast. I wasn't sure how small the breakfast was.
2 eggs and a piece of fruit. And those eggs, you're not frying them in butter. You can use a little spray oil.
Okay. All right.
You're not buttering it up and adding anything. You can have salt and pepper on it.
Okay. Great.
Lunch.
Some
Leafy stuff. It can be any kind of lettuce or spinach or arugula. Any kind of leafy greens is fine. And then you put on there, you can have vegetables on it like onions. You can have
bell peppers.
Yeah,
cucumber,
bell peppers, cucumber, mushrooms. You can have
tomatoes.
that would whatever if you want some tomato on there.
Broccoli.
So just broccoli, cauliflower. You can have all that on there because a decent sized salad with all that on there is about 70 calories.
I saw a bit. It's
it's not that you didn't eat anything yet, right? That's not what anybody's wanting for lunch.
These 2 comedy guys, Bobby Lee is one of them, gets a little crude, but he had on a guest, and it was a really heavy guy that was vegetarian. And Bobby was just kind of like, had his fist in his mouth, and he said, I just got to ask you, like, you must eat a ton of vegetables.
If you're a vegetarian.
If you're a
You
vegetarian,
must
a
eat a
ton
ton.
of vegetables.
Vegetarians don't just eat vegetables. They just don't eat meat.
He said I eat a lot of chips.
They could just... You can weigh 800 pounds and be a vegan, okay? So it's not about that.
Sorry, go on. Go on. That's good. That's good stuff.
All right, where am I?
Leafy greens.
Leafy greens. Yeah, so you got... It doesn't need to be huge, but it's a fine size salad, as big as you would get in any restaurant that's bringing you a salad for a meal. It can look like that.
Yeah.
But what we just described, nobody's ever gotten fat on that, okay?
That's my point there.
So it's now, what are you going to add? You're not going to add 800 calories of ranch dressing.
No,
okay,
you throw that out.
So no more than 30 calories worth of dressing. Figure that out, okay? You can get there's 0-calorie dressings, or you can get something that's 20 calories and put a serving or whatever. And then you put some meat on it, which make it either salmon or chicken.
Okay.
Grilled salmon or grilled chicken.
Great.
That's a lunch, okay? And
There's your
that's,
lunch.
That's about a 200-calorie lunch.
What about someone that says like, oh, but I need energy. I need carbs so far from
No, you don't. You don't need energy and you don't need carbs. You need to suck it up and decide, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. If you're trying to train for the marathon or you're wanting to get muscle, well, that's not who we're talking to right now.
50
We're talking
pounds.
to somebody that's locking it in.
Lose 50 pounds.
I didn't feel good. Well, no kidding. How do you feel walking around 50 pounds overweight?
And you are getting some carbs. You are getting some
you're
carbs
getting,
in
you're,
what we're
you're
describing.
fine. Are you going to feel great? Probably not.
Okay.
All right.
There's meal number 2.
Lunch, and then dinner. Dinner would be, you could do that salad again, right? Another 200, 250, maybe 300 calorie salad again if you want. Or you could remove the salad and just have a normal meal. It would be a serving of meat, which if you had salmon, you probably didn't want to do chicken or tuna this time. And just a serving. A serving of meat is 3 to 4 ounces. We're not putting stuff on it that's going to add 100 calories, okay? You can put a little salt and pepper. The spray butter of one spray is like 10 calories. So, but you don't go...
There is the spray dressing too, which stays under 30 calories.
Yes, and that's fine. So if you want to flavor it a little bit with salt and pepper, that sort of thing. And then you could have some steamed broccoli.
Great.
Right? Something like that. And if you want a little avocado with that, you know, a little piece of avocado with that,
yes,
which
please.
would be less than half of one, or some salsa on there.
Yeah.
Would be fine. And, you know, could you maybe have a little bit of a sweet potato with that? Probably. So you can play with that. Do I want like a third of a sweet potato with that? Okay. Again, spray and a little salt and pepper or salt, whatever you want. Or leave it off. If you're concerned, that's going to be too much food for me, leave it off. Okay. If you're like, no, I think I can do that and I'm still going to lose. Because you didn't eat much food today. That's it.
That's compared to what you've probably been eating. You're going to be like, okay, that's a big calorie deficit.
You're going to think you're starving to death for 2 reasons. One, you're not eating enough to be 50 pounds overweight, and you're used to that. So your body's like, you're not only used to eating for a normal-sized person, you're used to eating for a big person, so your body's going to
say, this isn't normal, I want more.
It's not normal, it's not enough.
I want more. Stacy, wake up.
Yeah, that. And it's similar to that, but different, is this idea that we get hungry not because we have a need for food, because we have this absence of excess. Yeah. And if you're always used to having a little too much, and then you even if we just went to a normal amount of food, which we're not, we're going less than that, but even if you just went to normal, you'd be like, what's going on here? And your body would panic because it's going through this new way of doing something. Yeah. So we got to be willing... That's the thing. We've got to be willing to get past that. We're in a habit, we're in a ritual, we're in a routine designed for an obese person. What in the world do you think is going to happen? So being willing to say, and this is where the spiritual piece can come in. I would encourage everybody to start this with the prayer, a sincere prayer, and to say, Lord, obviously I've messed up. You know, confess. Obviously, I should have never allowed myself to get here.
Sure.
And acknowledging that in a way of a repentance is, Lord, when you do that, it opens the door for God to help you with. Say, Lord, I'm sorry. I've let this go. I shouldn't have. Part of it was ignorance. Part of it was maybe just me wanting to fulfill my flesh. Whatever that is, confess that. Say, would you help me to walk out of that? That doesn't mean that's the only problem you have in your life. But I think it's okay to let's focus on one that's obvious. And say, God, will you help me with this obvious issue I have? And then go from there.
Well, I got to ask, surely you'd be getting some exercise in.
Yes. Yeah. And for the exercise, I would encourage or do an hour of walking. Now, for some people, it's going to be like, man, there's no way I can get an hour of walking. Get as close to that as you can.
Okay.
Right? So when we're doing my 21-day transformation, by the way, if somebody's like, man, this is just, I can't do this by myself, you're going to get this mindset and the help if you do my 21-day transformation. If you haven't yet, well, just why don't you watch my free stuff for 25 more years and then do one? No, maybe you ought to do one.
Well, the link is in the description, and yeah, some people will respond a lot better to the 21-day transformation because it's just all right there. You're literally like kind of holding their hand.
Holding their hand. Other people are doing it with them, asking questions they wish they would have asked, so it's a lot easier that way. But that's the work.
Nevertheless, your 21-day transformation, they do 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes every day. That's the minimum. That's as long as you're doing that.
But you're saying I'd go up to an hour if I'm trying to lose 50 pounds in 3 months.
If you can get it in an hour, that's fantastic. Get as close to that as you can. Some days you might just get 20 minutes. Don't ever not get 20 minutes, right? And shoot for closer to there. If you got to break it into 2 or 3 walks, it can be a walk, it can be a bike ride, it can be playing in the pool, but you want your body moving and using the stuff you're putting in it, right? So we're making use. You're not only burning the food you're eating, but you're burning the fat on your body. You're burning the corn dog from the 1989 state fair that's been on your hips for 35 years. So that's for you to lose 4 pounds a week.
Yeah.
You got to do something. It's not just going to be because you're a little hungry. You're going to be a little hungry, and that's another key is you've got to embrace that. And people that do this actually begin to look forward to the hunger because they begin to realize that's when this magic is happening. If I'm not hungry, do you really think you're burning that Fritos that you ate 20 years ago and you've never burned on your body?
Good point. If I'm hearing this and I go into this video not sure of what you're going to say, I'm wanting to lose 50 pounds, how would Trainer Joe do it? And I'm hearing what you've described as far as your meal plans and your exercise, I'm thinking, I'm pumped.
I am too. Wow. You ought to be pumped. Finally.
I can do this.
Straightforward, do it.
Eat those meals. I can walk for an hour.
It's going to be a little uncomfortable, but you know what? And you can't forget this. Drink plenty of water, which I would say at least 100 ounces a day. That's 10, 12 8-ounce cups, something like that. About 100 ounces a day. Make sure you get in at least that. And you might want to add a little electrolyte to it. Find a 0-calorie electrolyte because you're flushing your body so much.
Yeah.
I would add no sugar add electrolyte like the liquid IV or something like that. I'd take that when we play pickleball.
Sure.
And the electrolyte, the water. Oh, and you know what's going to be cool? Because when I talked to Todd after he did the program, he lost 100 pounds in about 6 months. And I say this is cool, but you might get a little bit irritated, a little angry at how easy this ends up being. Now, we're preparing you for it to be challenging, but once you do it and you're like a month in and you lost 22 pounds, you're like, what the heck's going on here? And then you're 2 months in and you're ahead of schedule. You're like, what the heck? And then you do it after it's all done. You're like, what the heck? Why did I wait to do this when all I had to do is this?
Yeah.
You just never did this. You always thought about doing something. You lasted a week.
You did it half-heartedly.
You skipped dessert.
Halfway.
You tried this. And you never just pushed through those first symptoms of keto flu or discomfort. And things are going to happen.
Sugar detox.
Yeah, things are going to happen. Day 2, your mama's going to call with a problem. Your dog's going to bark too loud. Something's going to happen that's going to be your reason to quit.
You're going to be invited to a birthday party and you didn't expect them to have these treats.
Yeah. Your grandma turned 100 and wants you to bake a cake and you got to test. Whatever. Something's going to happen that's going to try to throw you off. So just be prepared for that.
Man.
And be prepared to be angry at how easy it actually is. That's what Todd said. He lost 100 pounds when we were talking about it. He said, frankly, I'm a little irritated. Had I known that all I had to do was do this, and the weight's going to come off, I thought there was something magic that was going to need to be added to me just doing it. And there's not.
How many people have gone through your program and done a plan similar to this, or done this approach, I should say? How many people have been successful with it?
With 50 pounds?
50 pounds in a short amount of time.
Man, it's a lot. Obviously, I don't have an exact number, but I mean, I think of Billy and Chris and I can name tons of names.
Kurt.
Right now, Melanie, like to name them, Kathy, Andy, all these people that just did it. Now, it doesn't mean that every one of them have kept it off. Obviously not. But that's another video. This is not saying you're going to lose 50 pounds and keep it off. And it is a shame if in this process you don't get a mental and heart transformation. That is a shame because you will gain it back if you don't have something changed and clicked. But that's the advantage of walking it with us.
Sure,
is we're working on that the whole time. You do need a change. That's an emphasis. Heart and mind.
Yes. That's a very big emphasis.
You don't need that change to lose 50 pounds, but you're going to need that change to keep it off.
That's an emphasis in the program that maybe is a piece that you won't get by just checking these boxes that you've given today.
You might be so excited and be like, "Oh, I was crazy to ever get there," and you might keep it off forever. But most people are going to. Yeah, most people are going to realize now what. I did this great feat. Now what do I got to do? You need to change mindset and heart, or you're going to pick it back up.
That's interesting.
I don't mean to end it on a sad note, but that's just, we're real.
Well, I think that we've made at least 1 or 2 videos here on the channel. You can search for them, but Trainer Joe, how to keep your weight off.
Yeah,
because that would be the next piece.
It's out there
after this. But you guys, I'm genuinely curious. I know you are too. Comment below when you heard this breakdown from Trainer Joe. What stood out to you? Were you like me, kind of like, oh, dang, I can do that? Like, that actually sounds more doable than I expected? Or are you thinking it sounded harder than you expected? Are you already doing half of it and you just need to implement this other piece? Comment and let us know. And let's, encourage the people in the comments. We're a team here. And let's stink and lose this weight and crush this. I'm excited.
Hey, and I want to give them one other thing I forgot to tell them they can have with their lunch or dinner or even breakfast is salsa.
Like you mentioned salsa.
Pico.
Well, you said salsa in one of your meals, and for dinner you said.
Okay, yeah, you can add salsa to your eggs. You can add it to your chicken at dinner, so that's fine.
Well, and I know someone will probably ask, can we do caffeine, where we've been on caffeine?
Is that okay? Yes. Drink your water, and you may have all the coffee that you want and tea as long as it's no sugar, no nothing added, no cream or sugar added to that.
I love it. All right, guys. Very good. Make sure
some are going to go through that detox for cream and sugars. They're just they're cream. What about my cream? Yeah. Get over that.
Straightforward stuff. I love it. You guys make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you're resonating with this, and you share it. Share it with your friends. If you're like, I'm doing this, share it with a friend who you know is wanting to lose 50 pounds too, and say, will you do this with me? Watch this video with me. I'm going to share it. I'm going to send it to you, and let's crush this.
Make it a competition.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Until our next video, Trainer Joe, train your brain.
And transform your body.